Hey, what's going on, everybody? Y'all rocking with Real Life Entrepreneurs and your boy A1 Steel.
Hey, it's the biggest voice on the low. It's the Cho.
Hey, say, man, we got a beautiful guest today, man. She is the owner of ESO Mimosa Bar, Miss Aliya. How you doing? So tell us about yourself, like where you from, you know, how you came up, you know, before we get all the way to all the way.
A little bio, a little background.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm from Little Rock, Arkansas. I was born in San Antonio, Texas, as a military brat, but I was raised in Little Rock, so I say I'm from Little Rock. I did a little bit of back and forth because both my parents were military. I came here in 2007 when I was 20, and I've been here ever since.
So where you graduated at?
Oh, you know what? Okay, so I went to 4 high schools. I graduated in Hampton, Virginia, at Bethel High School.
Okay. Oh, so you really being a military brat, you was able.
Yeah, I lived overseas. I didn't really do a lot of it till like the 8th grade. I was getting in like a lot of trouble at school, so I had to move my daddy. So 8th grade, I moved to Turkey. 7th grade, I moved to Turkey. Lived there for a year, came back, went back with my mom.
That's who was in the military, your father?
Both of them.
Both
but
of them?
my mom went to the Gulf War, so they got divorced when I was like 5, and that's when I went kind of separate ways. I went with her for a long time, and I moved back with him when I was like in the 8th grade for like a year. And then I went back with my mom for about 2 years, and I went back with my dad, and then I stayed with him. We went to like 3 places. I lived in San Angelo, Texas, Hampton, Virginia, then of course Turkey, and then I went back to Little Rock to start college. Did that for like a year, flunked out, and then.
What college you went to?
It was called Euler, University of Arkansas, Little Rock. But I mean, it was going good, and you know, you move on campus, it's over with. So
You start partying.
man, I actually was the opposite. I went to school and slept. I never woke up for class.
You was just still asleep.
I moved into dorms. Like I started off, I was like working 3 jobs. I was going to class. I had straight A's, and then
You was working 3 jobs?
I was working 3 jobs. I was working at a call center. Yeah, I've always liked to work, because I was getting like a little school check, and so I just felt like, damn, money. I just always liked it. So I would get my little school check, go buy me some clothes. I worked my little jobs, and you know, I was saying go home. But then when I moved into dorms, all ambitions went away. I just slept.
It's just different.
So would you change your upbringing? Would you say I had a bad? What did you like it or what?
I actually would not change it because I think it's a good mix. Because like being in Little Rock, I don't know if y'all heard of banging in Little Rock.
Yeah.
But I wasn't really in the mix of that. I'm not gonna lie, but
they some banging.
Yeah, I was pretty much. I ain't gonna say I was sheltered from it because I wasn't by no means, but I just lived in a different area, and it didn't feel like living in a place like that. You know what I'm saying? It didn't even feel like it was happening.
Yeah.
You see it on TV, but it's like that's just our reality. That's why even coming here, I'm like, I'm probably walking in the middle of dangerous hoods or whatever the case, and I'm just like,
cool. Yeah.
This is how we. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I wouldn't change it. It made me tough. It made me strong because I mean I don't really like growing up. I just did shit. Like I ain't ask for permission. I just did it.
Sure, yeah.
So that was kind of my whole personality. Like you know what I'm saying? Just like you know, just do what the fuck I want to do. Like and that's really kind of still what I do to this day. Like if I want to do it, I just do it. So growing up there, like I said, I wouldn't change it. I got in trouble a lot.
What you was a party girl or what you was getting? What type of trouble was you getting into?
I was always the new kid. So there was that, and so moving from San Antonio,
you went, yeah,
for the most part, I was always a new kid. So from moving like to my mom's neighborhood back home in Little Rock, we lived in North Little Rock actually, and it's pretty. Back then it was a mess. Like them kids is bad. So moving there, like you know, I'm outside like riding a little bike and thinking like I'm finna go play with some kids, and they like, nah, this Washington Street, and I'm like. So I'd be outside, like riding my bike and end up in a fight in the middle of the neighborhood and going back home. And it just didn't bother me. I used to fight a lot. Like I literally probably didn't stop fighting till I took a break from fighting.
Took a break from fighting.
Like I think in like the 7th grade, because I used to be fighting like outside, fighting all the boys. Yeah. And then one of the boys snubbed me when I was trying to take my
name known, and then wherever you go, shit. Okay.
I didn't take no shit. Like they say something, I'm like, what's up? That's how my mind worked. Like I didn't think about getting my ass whooped. I didn't care about that. But shit, one day, one of the little boys, I was trying to take my skates off, and he cracked me in my face. And I said, oh no. I ain't fighting no more boys. I ain't put my
So you
hands.
was the only baby? You ain't have
No,
no
I was the youngest. I was the youngest. My
out of
sisters are
what?
3 girls, 10 and 12 years
So all
old.
y'all moved around.
They moved around a lot because my mom, when she left the military, she left sick. She went to the Gulf War, so she had, Gulf War syndrome or whatever. But they call it, she had sarcoidosis, which if you're familiar, that's what's his name? Bernie Mac. That's what he died of. She had that, and so in the beginning it was real shaky trying to get like her benefits and stuff like that. So my sisters lived with like friends and family. I lived with my grandpa. But again, like I said, I wouldn't even look back on that stuff and even think about struggle. It was just kind of like the normal shit. But my sister's 10, 12 years older than me, so we had like our moments. Like when I was younger, I was the baby. Oh, they loved me. Then there was a big break of like the bad child that they didn't fool with. Then about like 8th grade, I'm in the clothes and hair. So when my middle sister used to do my hair a lot, so we got clothes. It's just back and forth, but I was definitely the wild child as far as they're concerned. Like
Black sheep.
Yeah, I told my friend that, she was like, "You're not the black sheep," but kinda, you know what I'm saying? Because I was my dad's only child and my mom's youngest, so I used to just do what I wanted to do. And my mama was like,
leave her alone. Don't let her get.
"What? Like, don't even." She wasn't even worried about it. She half the time didn't even know where I was. So, but yeah.
So what got you? What got you into the club atmosphere to where you have one of the hottest, spots in Arlington, though? You know what I'm saying? Like, what got you to that point?
That is like, it's really no background story today. That's the craziest thing because I had went to the whole thing was I was a bartender through nursing school, and I did taxes through nursing school. So I'm finishing nursing school, I'm approaching the end, and I'm like, okay, in my mind, like my next thing is, I don't want to be a bedside nurse. I don't want to take care of like sick patients. I want to make patients
So
healthy.
you got your nursing license?
I have my nursing degree. I graduated from.
And you do taxes?
And I do taxes.
And you do taxes.
So I'm like a real entrepreneur. Like,
Nah, for sure.
Like for real. Yeah, like about 2016, I just I was working a job. I had 2 kids by that point. And I had like a supervisor that just had zero understanding of like the single mom stuff. So she wouldn't let me, like she would find any reason to like write me up, and my job was always in jeopardy, and that just was like a crazy feeling to me. So I remember calling back home like, you know what, I'm just not about to do this working shit no more. Like, and I called my mom, I was like, she always had my back. My mama always has my back. So I was like, look, if I need a little help in the gap, I'm finna figure something out. I was in school at the time for, I was getting my Associates of Science in Healthcare Administration, which turned out to be like a very entry-level job, like $16, $17. I didn't know that at the time. Right? And so I'm doing that and I'm working, and I was like, you know what, this work shit not working. So I quit, and I ended up coming across an ad for something with the taxes, and it didn't really make sense. He said something about, did I want to start my own business or something? And I was like, cool, like let me look into it. And I got there and realized it was taxes. I learned a little bit of it, did my first year under someone, and then the next year I did my own thing, which is an online tax service called AP the Tax Lady. So it's an app, you just go in there and do, put your information in, I do your taxes, I do loans and all that kind of stuff.
So they don't really necessarily have to come right into you.
They don't.
That's the way it takes.
Yeah, and that's like the benefits for me and them. Like, I'm in nursing school in class, like doing tax returns, like,
for sure.
Like
yeah, and
2 jobs in one time.
yeah,
That's
and
cool.
the thing about it was like, the traditional nursing student is working like at the hospital or being a tech. The only thing I have, my background was certified pharmacy technician, so I hadn't worked, on patients and stuff. Yeah, so I'm in nursing school working, doing these different things, and in my mind, the next thing I'm gonna do is come out of school and open like a clinic. Like I want to do anything but working with sick patients. Yeah,
working for somebody.
And that, right? So, because I kept thinking about it as it got to the end, like, what am I about to do? Like, I haven't had to wake up other than school. I haven't had to be anywhere on anybody else's time. Even with the bartending, it's like I'm on schedule. So I'm like, this is about to be different for me. So I graduate, we do the whole thing. I get my, my first nursing job. But I was working with my best friend, which y'all know, Tastes Amazing, Lanika. And she was kind of talking about some options, what she was doing.
Shout out to Lanika, too.
Yes. So, she has Tastes Amazing, so she's a super, like her food's super good. So I'm working alongside her.
Awesome.
In the meantime, because I had nothing to do, so she was just starting doing a brick and mortar situation. So I was working with her, just kind of like helping her take her vision, a different direction. Just she's bouncing ideas, and I'm just trying to I'm not an expert in this, but by this time I'm in service industry, so I'm just like, learning kind of from her, and we're learning from each other. And she was thinking about kind of getting in a spot. Well, in that process, we had a realtor friend that kind of started looking for spots for us separately and all that. So initially, I wanted to do a mimosa bar. During the pandemic, you could open a restaurant, and you could open a bar without a restaurant. You could do like as long as you had a food truck. So in my mind, I wanted to do like a food truck lot, and I'm giving my idea here for somebody. I wanted a food truck lot, and I wanted to put the centerpiece to be like a mimosa bar. So you come in, and you come to the food trucks, and you come to the lounge and get mimosas and stuff. So I was thinking small, and my homegirl said, "Think big, bitch." So
think big, bitch. Gotta think big, bitch.
Yeah, so she shows me that spot that I'm in, which was the old Rio Mamba.
We need to know, how did you pull that off? That's
For
amazing.
real.
Jerry World,
That's a good spot.
that's big.
It's okay. So this is, I tell people, it's like kind of like that Noah's Ark shit.
Yeah.
Like it's little stuff coming. I'm like, how am I about to do this? So she shows me the spot. I'm like, I told her, I'm like, that just doesn't even make any sense. Like, why would you show me this spot? Like, I can't afford that. At the time, I'm thinking, the numbers I'm even thinking at the time, I'm like, hell no, I can't afford that. And it ended up being double that. But she was like, maybe you should reach out to some of these people and this and that. And I'm like, okay. So I just immediately, I'm like, okay, boom, what can I do? So I reached out to 2 people. We kind of started on a little pad. And in the beginning, it's a lot of little stuff you have to do, like, you have to have a business plan. Yeah. So here I am on a building that presented to me, and I don't even have a business plan. So she sends me like a mock business plan. Mm-hmm. So I make my own business plan, kind of start doing the research of the area. You kind of have to see how you compare to the area. So I'm looking at it like, I really don't compare to the area. Like, Texas Live is not for us. Nothing around here is for us, and I feel like the city of Arlington is us. Yeah. Regardless of who's in charge of Arlington, the face of Arlington, but we are the majority of Arlington. So I'm like, I'm not trying to compete with Texas Live. I wouldn't be competing with Texas Live because my demographic would be a different age, different genre, different backgrounds and stuff. So write it up. Now it's starting to kind of be like, oh wow, this is obtainable. So I get the plan together. We present it. We present our financials. So I get to like the finishing point, and one of our partners was like, it wasn't something that he could necessarily handle at the time. No hard feelings, still friends to this day. Yeah. I'm like, cool, okay. So now I'm starting to look at like, okay, what else, who else, So I reached out to one of my friends in the tax business. His name is Jeremy Peterson. He has TS Tax Solutions and TS Tax Homes, a couple different things. And initially I was like, hey, I just texted him one day like, hey, I need an investor. And he was kind of in the beginning of his investment journey, because now he just does a lot of investment. So he's in the beginning of his investment journey. He's like, what's up, talk to me. So I come in, I'm like, hey, now I'm able to sell this. At first, like I said, I didn't even know what I was doing. So now I'm sitting down like, look, this is what we're going to do. This is what I got. This is my plan. This is my product. This is the food. This is the. He's like, okay, I'm in. I'm like, okay. He was like, I'm in. I was like, okay, you in? He was like, I'm in.
You gotta, especially when you send it to the location.
Yeah. So he was like, I'm in. He was like, but I want to be a partner. I'm feeling what you got going. So I'm like, cool. Boom. So now my next step is to, we get the building, and now we have to, I secured a few loans. I didn't have a lot of venture capital to start with. I had my savings from like the tax business, and I was actually working as a nurse, and I was making quite a bit of money doing that. So I was just paying for stuff weekly. Like we'll have the contractor come in and say, oh, this costs this much, so I'll put my half in, and we're doing it like that. And just then I was finding out, I found out everything along the way. Like I ain't know shit. I didn't know shit though. So the liquor license, that took the entire process. The liquor license probably took me 3 or 4 months.
I got a question.
Okay.
Can you be a felon with a liquor license?
I want to say no. Okay. That's just, I want to say no, just because with anything, for one, especially with Texas, so you already know our state is, this Republican state, so it's like their biggest thing is, clean backgrounds for one. Yep, so any type of licenses, because my thumbprint is in the system 50 times. I had to do my thumbprint for the tax business, I had to do my thumbprint for the nursing, just to be a nursing student, everything. So pretty much you have to, clear the backgrounds. Sure. And I don't know what else the criteria was, but at the time of starting this business, I pretty much had kind of like a clean slate. Like, I'm a student, and that's pretty much.
He was the perfect person.
Yeah,
for the job.
Was your credit score?
My credit score
was decent.
Average. I'm gonna say average because there was a point where it was like high 7s. But there's a lot that goes into. I still have not mastered that portion. I'm not gonna lie, that portion of business, because there's so many factors that we look at like, oh, the score. I have a 720 and get denied for shit still. Like, because there's this or
certain shit you trying to get, and they need
I mean, some of the dumbest stuff. Like, we were trying to. I had a repair. They were gonna finance the repair, and I'm like, he's like, oh yeah, I look at it's like $175 a month. I'm like, I'm paying stuff way bigger than that. Go in, do the application, it's like denied. I'm like, so my credit was pretty decent. Like I say, I had a couple student loans, nothing derogatory, nothing like that. They don't look at that so much, and I do feel like I just got in with this whole process. I just got in at a good time. Pandemic is literally ending. The economy, everything that's involved in owning the business here, is putting money back into the city or the state or whatever. So it's like they're looking at like, okay, when you get a business here, you're gonna be paying taxes. You're gonna be paying. So a liquor license, really, they want you to have a liquor license because you're paying liquor tax, and liquor tax is so much. Liquor tax is high as fuck.
So you paying that? Is you paying that about a year or the month?
I pay that shit by the month.
The month.
And what happens is, what happens with liquor tax, like you're thinking you're collecting. So what happens is you're collecting your taxes, right? So your 8.25 that you do like with anything else, you're collecting it. Your mind not thinking about you collecting it. So let's just say you have a $20,000 day, but you collected 8% of that is for taxes. You have to have the discipline to say, okay, let me put this $4,000 over here because on the 20th they're gonna want this $4,000 back.
Right.
So in the beginning, luckily none of this stuff got too far away from me because in the beginning I did find out, oh, I gotta put this money up. So I use a service now that pulls the money daily.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, back to the beginning. So it's just like little pieces were coming in. That's why I call it like the Noah's Ark. Like ESO is like the Noah's Ark because it was like every piece that I needed, whether it was investors or partners or whatever, it's like I would just be like, okay, back against the wall. Now you gotta go get.
You gotta see what you gotta do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
so
saying?
go get the partner. So now me and him, we're working, and we haven't even gotten to the business side. We ain't hired nobody. We haven't thought about the food and the drinks we're putting in this. Like I'm going and I'm getting all these licenses, and we're putting chandeliers in, we painting, we're doing all kind of stuff, but it's like we have not honed in and said, okay, if the doors open in November, if the doors open in December, what do we need? So we had to start hiring. We get to like the last leg and we realize it's a little much for us. So I start going out again looking for investors. So I'm like, okay, I'm looking for investors. Well, I met another guy, he says he invests in black businesses one a year. His name is Brandon. So I sit down with him it just happened. This is why I say this whole thing is like fate. I sit down with him at a birthday dinner. He was a customer of mine at my bartending job. So I sit down with him, we just happen to be at a birthday dinner, sit next to each other, and the birthday girl brings up that I'm opening something. And I'm like, yeah, and everybody's like, oh, really? And at this time, I'm overwhelmed as hell. Like, I'm just sitting there like, if it's gonna open, And so he's like, oh, I'm interested in hearing about it. Well, I told him, he was like, oh, I invest in one black business a year. I was like, well, would you like to sit down with me? Like, you have to let go of all nerves and stuff with this shit. So I'm like, would you like to sit down with me? He was like, sure. Set up a meeting, sit down with him. I'm praying. Like, please let this man find, you know what I'm saying, some type of interest in it. Sure. So sit down with him, talking to him, like, hey, this is that, I got all my paperwork, I got everything, I'm saying what I need to say. And he's like, okay, well, let me look at the numbers, let me talk to my lawyer, let me do this, let me do that. So I hit my partner up like, hey, it's a possibility that we're going to have an investor. So he's like, cool, he's with whatever. He don't really, at this point, he's putting the money in where it's needed. He's just trusting me with the whole process. Yeah. So get with the other guy. He says, which his name is Brandon Phoenix. He says, the next day he's like, you know what? He looked at it, he started telling me about my business. This is what I think your business can do. This is the profit that I think you'll have, and this is just it's blowing me away. I'm like, okay, cool. So he was like, so I want to be your partner. I don't want to invest. So I'm like, okay. So now I have to be mindful. I have this other partner. I'm like, let me see how he feels about it. Although he's trusting me completely, I still want to be, open
sure.
up.
Gotcha.
So we sit down, and same thing, he's blown away. He's telling him, like, this is what I think y'all can do. Your quarter profits look like this. You're right on the money, because I did some projections myself. So he's like, you're right on the money. I think it'll do this and that. So now we're super excited. So now we have, just that little bit more security.
Hold on real quick, but what you think really caught them like that? Like, what you think? Do you think it was the location that they really bought into? Like, when you ran into them,
I don't know. It's such a scary situation all overall. So I think it honestly was the business plan itself. Yeah. And don't get me wrong. I was definitely like, I'm gonna do this, and I got because I gotta sell it. So in my mind, I'm like. Because the biggest thing for me was the vision of initially with the mimosa bar was like, I want to have this mimosa wall with all these different things, and I want, and it went a different direction, but it still is. I'm very pleased with the direction it went. But it was so many things, and I was like,
so much space. You got to figure out what you're doing in all that space too.
That's a nice spot.
Yeah, and we're still not done. We're still not done building. We're still not done growing. We're still not done. We're even getting a new look. I was telling y'all the other day. Tomorrow morning, getting some new flooring, some new carpeting and stuff. I'm not gonna lie. Probably the hardest part about the whole situation was the contractors.
Getting the people to
actually do the work. Yeah. That was literally the hardest part. With getting people to come work.
I say them contractors, man, you gotta find the right people, because people that take your money won't even come back and finish the job.
This is what the biggest thing happened. Well, the most common thing that happened. They're coming in the building and seeing how big it is and trying to assume what I have in my pocket. Mm-hmm. So they're like, oh, all right, it's gonna cost me, and I'm talking about ridiculous shit like. Yeah.
Hundreds of
$40,000 to re-wall the bathroom, like
what?
Just so just crazy stuff. Like we were at a point where some of the previous contractors had did some stuff to the building that we couldn't open the doors regardless. Like we had these like platforms that were like, which you see them now, you wouldn't even know, but they're like uneven. It's nails out of them. We got our bathroom don't got the right stuff at the right height. Like it's just all kind of crazy stuff. So we kind of had to get it all together. Like our liquor license came in the middle of November. We were open by December 18th, and I mean, we just once we opened, it was just all good. But it was definitely like one of them things. Like I don't even know if I answered y'all's question, but it was just like, how did it all come about? I still don't know, because it didn't even make any sense. Like from the beginning, it was just meant to happen. Yeah, so that's why every time I keep hitting like something, because it's still hard. It's very hard. But it's like when I come against one of those situations, I'm just like, this shit's been beyond me. I don't know if it's for the people in here, for the people out there, but it's for the people. I just try to go in and just, you know what I'm saying, like roll with the punches. Because I can honestly say, just being totally honest, and y'all know as entrepreneurs, I feel like I had more money prior to doing this.
No, for sure, because you always spend.
Because you gotta put some more money.
Always spend.
I just be like, people like big money, and I'm sitting up here like, I have not paid myself in 6 months.
No, for sure. That's how I go. That's how I go, for sure.
So, but I wouldn't change a thing about none of the process.
Yeah.
No.
Because you probably addicted to the grind now. Like, getting up, doing something every day, your routine is always like...
About that.
Yeah.
I done got to the point where I do not get out the bed every day.
What? Damn, you paid like that?
Not even that. And I told somebody, because I'm gonna start back doing some, now we're about to have tax season, so I'm about to get my ass up.
Yeah, that's it.
And then I kind of want to do some nursing stuff too. I want to get back into that, because there are a lot of females in my industry that, same thing, they look up to me and they look up to other entrepreneurs, and they are entrepreneurs themselves. They just haven't taken that leap. And I'll be trying to tell them, like, you are in the right position. Like, you're in the service position, you're in a position to make your own schedule, in a position to make your own money, and then the next steps is what you want to do with it. So I really do want to make my next step to be kind of like that, what I wanted to do with the nursing.
What about being like a midwife or something?
So there's another level of schooling with that. I'm an RN with my bachelor's of science in nursing. Midwifing is most of the midwives are nurse practitioners, which means they have their masters. I don't quite want to do that. I'm not opposed to it, but my main thing is I kind of want to do like natural things, natural medicine, natural healing. I kind of want to just tie it all in. Like even with the cosmetic side, I got friends or classmates that have like the homes where you go get like plastic surgery and you come and get all the different things. For sure. So different massages, all that. And a lot of girls that work in the industry with me, they're estheticians, they're beauticians, they're all these different things. So I kind of want to just tie that all in and let people know, like, getting your esthetician license or getting your your cosmetic license, like you can still end up with this like empire. So I kind of just, you know.
So that's your next move right there. That's
just trying to kind of get back into, for one, utilize this degree. You know what I mean? Like you have to kind of keep it, just for anything, barber license. You know what I'm saying? You got to keep your stuff current. You got to stay. You got to stay current. You got to stay working. You got to stay learning, because you will get lazy. Like I said, I got to a point where I just hate getting out the bed like before noon, except for trying to get the kids to school or something like that. But even then, I'm like, you walk, you catch the bus. Damn. I'm not getting up.
I guess I'm just cursed, because I naturally get up at 6:30.
I would love
I'm
to.
just gonna naturally do it.
I would love to be like that. I have a real problem with being up out the bed before, like, first of all, it takes me like, and I don't even know where this came from. I'm not a makeup person. I'm not like a high beauty person, but it takes me like 2 hours to leave the house.
That's because you be twerking and listen to your music while you get dressed.
None of that. Especially if I'm meeting a friend, I'll call them like 3 times. I'll sit down. I'll walk in a circle. Like, I go nothing, doing absolutely nothing, because it's just.
But everything that you know now, what would you have done different?
I probably would have saved a lot more money on my personal end, because I mean I definitely was good, you know what I'm saying, but I definitely would have, and I don't feel like I ever spent frivolously at all, but I kind of probably would have been more intentional about the savings, like how people have this like, don't go do nothing, don't get, like me, I'm gonna do my shit, like I'm gonna do my nails, my beauty, if the kids want to do something, we're just gonna do it. I'm just gonna eat what I want to eat. I'm not, like I said, it's not a lot of things I'm doing, but if somebody says let's go do this, I'm gonna go do it. So I probably would have been a little more preservative about my spending.
Damn, you like, all right, that's my problem too then. Like,
I'm gonna do it. The money gonna come back though.
Yeah, it always do. That's why we do it, because we know it's coming back. But it's like, if we was to sit still and we know it's coming back, it's like doubling up. But
there's some times I probably could have just been like, let me get this out of savings.
You show drop some jewels for us, man. Like people probably gonna be sitting there like, damn, like I didn't know she went through all that. You know what I'm saying?
It's a lot. Like I said, still to this day. I mean, because you know the money comes in, but then you have hella expenses.
Yeah, you got the more money you got, the more money you spend.
You definitely need a knowledgeable team, though. Let's not leave that part out. You cannot do this shit by yourself.
Yeah.
I was doing a lot of it by myself, so I wasn't sleeping at first. But now I have a team, and everybody's like, you gotta let your team do it. And that's my problem. I gotta let my team do it, but I'm working on that.
Well, we so appreciate you, man, for coming to the Real Life Entrepreneurs,
this was fun.
Man. You know what I'm saying? You rock with your boy A1 Still, and hey, man, tell everybody where they can find you at on social media. You know the bar where like the Mimosa bar where it's at. Let them know where it's at.
ESO Mimosa Bar is on 2150 East Lamar Boulevard, Suite 120. You can find us on IG as ESO Mimosa Bar, and AP the Tax Lady. If you're trying to get your taxes done, that's also my handle for IG. And that's it.
Hey.
Hey man, it's the biggest voice on the low. It's the show, and we got to go.
Hey, holla at you.
Peace.